The first thing I believe you should be aware of is how much money do you currently have in your savings account, how much are your bills, how much are your monthly payout for bills. Do you have enough money saved up to cover you for maybe 2, maybe 3 months? Most of us don't. So if that's not you, right, do you have a way and means of obtaining money when you're in a pinch? You also have to consider where you are with your particular dream or where you are with those kinds of things. Because, for example, let's say if you want to be a content creator, and let's say that if you are a gamer, right, and you're trying to be your content creator, you're a gamer, right? How far are you from monetization on your Twitch or your YouTube channel or your TikTok? How far are you away from that, right? These are things you have to consider because, believe it or not, but we all know this, money runs the world. So you have to make sure that you are covered, at least in the financial aspect of things. But you also have to be realistic and understand that you got to be a little tight, more frugal with your money right now. When you don't have a 9 to 5 job, as much as you may hate your 9 to 5, as much as you may think your 9 to 5 is terrible, your boss ain't this, your coworkers gossip, whatever it is, you got to remember and be grateful for the fact that you have a paycheck that comes out every week or every 2 weeks, right? That, even if it ain't a lot of money, knowing that you're getting 5, 6, 700, maybe $1,000 every 2 weeks, is better than knowing that you might not get $1 in 2 weeks, right? So you have to keep all those things in mind and be aware of where you stand with those things before you make a decision like that. Because I've made that jump before, not being fully aware, not having several means to make money if I was in a pinch. I've been there and I made that move, and it was one of the roughest moments of my life. I learned a lot in that moment, but it forced me right back out and back into the 9 to 5 world. So before you do that, consider those major aspects. And if you have answers for them, if you say, you know what, I don't have savings, but I can DoorDash, but I can Uber, but I can do Grubhub, and it's a whole other merit of opportunities to make money using your vehicle. There's other little small jobs, that you could get on, and whether you do landscaping part time or contracting, because we're saying when you leave your 9 to 5, that's a full time job. You can obtain a part time job. You don't gotta leave employment altogether, but obviously, if you are considering leaving your 9 to 5, you might not be thinking pick up a part-time job. So, but those are just things I would consider. Pardon me, y'all. I had to put that down because my arm started getting a little tired and the camera was getting shaky. But anyway, the second thing I would consider is this what you really want to do? A lot of people get caught up. We're in such a digital time that a lot of people want to be content creators because they think it's easy. They want to be rappers because they think it's easy. They want to do gaming or streaming because they think it's easy. They want to, some people want to be authors, whatever it is. But a lot of people try to jump into things because they believe it's easy and they're good at it. Now, you can be good at it, but none of these fields, the barrier to entry in these fields are much easier. You could start your rap career tomorrow by buying a DistroKid account, paying for a DistroKid account, and then releasing music. You can do that. It doesn't mean you'll gain notoriety and gain success, but you can do that. So the barrier to entry has gotten so low for a lot of these things that used to be very high that people think it's easy to break into it and get real good at it. I'll give you an example. One day I was streaming. I was streaming on Twitch, and some dude was like, "Man, if I was on Twitch, man, I'd be making bank right now." You know how many people I know? I know a lot of people, man. I could be making bank. It don't work like that. Just because you know a bunch of people don't mean they're going to support you off the rip. Some people might not be into what you're doing. But the second thing I would say is you have to figure out if that's really what you want to do. If it's just a fade, if it's just a fad, if you just kind of like doing it. Because if you just kind of like doing it, then going full time with it is the worst thing to do. Because you're going to run into hurdles. You're going to run into little dumb stuff that happens. I don't know. It's so many goofiness, so much goofiness that happens when you're pursuing a dream or anything that's really worthwhile, that if you don't really want to do it, I would never say get rid of your 9 to 5 to go do it, because you're gonna run into something and be like, I hate it. So I would also consider, is this something I really want to do, or is it just a fad, or just a quick phase, or something I like doing? Because if it's something I just like doing, I wouldn't do it. I would not quit my 9 to 5 job for it, And so, yeah, I would definitely consider it something I really want to do, or if it's just something I like doing for the time being. The next one is you got to understand how to own your schedule. When you had a job, you had a time you had to be there and a time you had to leave, right? You stay late sometime, depending on your salary or not, you had overtime. But now it's on you. So you can wake up as late as you want. You can stay asleep as long as you want. You can stay up as late as you want. But you got to look at the pros and the cons of that decision. So number one, your schedule's all on you. You got to have a schedule. You got to follow something. If you don't follow nothing, you're going to end up sleeping your days away. It's very easy to do that, especially in the beginning when you start your journey without a 9 to 5. It's very easy to just sleep all day, right? But you got to give yourself time for rest and give yourself time to grind. I'm gonna be honest with you. The truth is, you're probably gonna work way more hours when you are an independent artist, content creator, author, whatever. Whenever you're doing it, you're probably gonna put in more hours than you did at your 9 to 5. You're going to put in a lot of time, but you have to have a schedule. You gotta have a schedule to follow. You gotta have a way to get around. You have to have a way to navigate certain things. You have to have backup plans to certain stuff. And what I mean by a backup plan is like, it's okay if you got a laptop, have a backup laptop. If you got a computer, have some insurance on your computer. Whatever it is that you will be using to drive your business, whatever your business is, whatever you're trying to do, make sure you have insurance on that thing. Because if you don't and it goes wrong, you will be assed out. And it's a terrible thing to be when you just got the heart to lead a 9 to 5. You just say, I'm gonna go do this. I think I can do it, and then something goes wrong and you didn't have a plan if it went wrong. Right? I'm not saying have a backup plan to the dream. That's not what I'm telling you. Have a backup plan to the things that are going to help you with the dream. Because things do go wrong. Things do break. It happens all the time. So keep that in mind. I was going to try to do this video in order, but I ain't even trying to do it in order now. Another thing you got to consider is your actual circumstance. What I mean by that, okay. Who are you living with right now? Got to consider that piece. Do you have kids right now? You got to consider that piece. That's a major factor. Do you have a girlfriend right now? You got to consider that piece. That's another major factor. The reason why I say that is because if you have a girlfriend right now and she ain't all on board for what you're trying to do, or a boyfriend right now and they're not all on board for what you're trying to do, then you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. If you got children right now and they depend on you for, obviously they should be depending on you. You got children right now, and even if you were to DoorDash or do any of the little side hustles, whatever, you still wouldn't have enough to take care of them. You might have to keep that 9 to 5, or you might have to get a part-time job. But you have to consider the circumstance in which you're in. If you don't understand your circumstance thoroughly, then you probably gonna end up in a jam at some point, right? It'll end up being a disaster for you. It's one of those things that you don't need, no one needs. So when you are about to leave your 9 to 5, these are just things you have to look at and observe intently. Write them down. Right? I use my planner all the time. Write them down. Write them down on your phone, whatever. Just write them down and actually get a good observation of what it looks like. Because the worst thing that can happen is if you were to leave your 9 to 5 and go pursue your dream and you didn't iron all the details, you didn't know everything you were getting into, and then something happens and then you regret the dream. You say, man, this is bullshit. It's not real. It can't happen, blah, blah, blah. When actually it could have. You just calculated things a little bit wrong. When you're pursuing a dream, and I'm saying this more or less for like 20 dudes 25, people 25 and older. Because by the time you're 25, you probably got a couple real responsibilities. So when you're 25 and older, and you got some real responsibilities, you have to be much more forward thinking. When you're in your teenage years, though, you could just go. Like teenagers, if you're a teenager right now, or in your early 20s, I say just go. Just like whatever it is you want to do, just go. Go do it. Like we're not thinking, no gas. No brakes, no hesitation. Go do it. Like right now. Like this is the best time to do it. Whatever it is you want to do, this is the best time to go and just figure out if that's what you want to do or not. Go try it. Try this, try that. See if it's what you like. But when you're 25 and older, you have to be a little more forward thinking. You got to understand the pros, the cons. You got to understand a little bit of that. But this next tip I'm going to give you is going to sound a little crazy, but you kind of have to have that too. Okay, this one is, I'm saying this one last for a reason. You got to be a little naive. You got to be just a little bit naive because whatever it is you're trying to do, it's probably not easy. That's why you had to leave your 9 to 5 to go make it happen. That's one. Number two, many people have tried this before you. Many people have failed before you. And if someone knew you were trying to do it or somebody close to you knew you were trying to do it, they probably told you not to do it. They probably said it's not worth it. It's not worth the move. It's blah, blah, blah. So you got to be a little bit naive. And how far should you be naive? How far should you be delusional? No, well, you should probably be as delusional as, I don't know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you should probably be like anywhere from a 5 to 7. If you're really crazy like me, you'll be a 10. And the reason I say this is you have to understand that this is going to be a grind. And you can't look at it from a day-to-day aspect. Well, you have to look at it from a day-to-day aspect, but you can't expect it to work and be right overnight. You can't expect that. This is going to be a grind. You have to you have to beat it in your own brain that this is going to be a 12-round fight. There will be no knockouts unless you get knocked out. It's a 12-round fight. And it's going to go the distance. You're going to have 12 rounds of action. How do you make this happen? How do you do this? That's the real thing, right? So you have to be honest with yourself in that conversation, in that dialogue. And I would also look around, look at who supported me. I would lean into those supporters, those who got my back, those who said, look, I'll help you. How can I help you? Or those who say, I got a resource for you. Okay, how can I utilize that resource? A lot of us see what happens when you go ahead and you leave your 9 to 5 and you're pursuing your dream. It's very easy to go into panic mode because there's not a lot of structure around you. You now have to create that structure. So it's very easy to go to default and go into panic mode. But the most important piece is don't go into panic mode. Don't go into panic mode. Stay poised and utilize the resources around you and have a plan in place. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do that every day. Make sure whatever it is you're going to do every day, it is very feasible for you to do, right? So for example, if you wanted to be a content creator, every day you can grab your iPhone, right? Most of us have these, right? Grab your iPhone and you can shoot a little vlog every day. Day in the life of blah, blah, blah. That's something you know you can do every single day, right? But you want to have something that you can do every day that's feasible, well within reach, doesn't require a whole bunch of fancy equipment and all that other stuff. Whatever it is you're trying to do. If you want to be an author, you should be writing every day. You want to be a producer, an actor, there's some things you should be doing every single day, right? You want to be an engineer, whatever it is, you should be doing it every day. Last piece of advice I'm going to give you, do not rush this process. No, we are not in a rush, man. We are not in a rush. We are steady. We are on a steady pace. Steady pace, right? Don't reach, you'll get there, right? Chad Johnson had a quote. I was watching him work out one time. He's working on some routes. And he reached on one of his routes. For those who don't know, reach is where you just overextend your foot to get to a point. Don't reach, right? Don't try to cheat the system. Put the work in. Put the work in. Write down what you're doing. Document it. And the reason you should be doing this, because when you get to where you're trying to get to, or if you get to a point, when you get to the point where like you're making money, you're living good, you can look back on it and say, I did that. I did that. I remember this. Like, nothing makes water, like, you know when I fell in love with water? I fell in love with water when I started playing football, when I played high school football. Water became one of my favorite things in the world. And the reason it became that is because there was nothing I wanted more than after running hard for 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight to get some water. And we didn't even care if it came out we didn't care if it was in a bottle form. I didn't care if it was in bottle form or if it came out the cooler. I just wanted some water. And the only way you can truly appreciate the top of the mountain is if you remember crawling up that mountain. If you remember climbing up that mountain. If you remember running a 4.8 and 40, and then all of a sudden you run a 4.3. You remember running a 4.8. You remember what that feels like, right? You remember what it felt like dropping a video, and then the video got 2 views, but it took you 4 hours to make the video. You remember that feeling. That's the reason why you don't rush this process, man. You don't rush it. Embrace it, because when you embrace this process and you get to the other side of it, you're like, God damn, I did it, man. Damn, I did it. Damn, I did it, man. And be grateful for the people around you who are going to invest in you. Because believe it or not, when people see you working hard, they will, I promise you, on my dad's grave, they will invest in you. There are going to be people who give you opportunities and chances because they like you. Whatever they might like, don't matter why they like you. You know, don't matter why they like you. Like, I had to come to grips with something that when I started making music, I had no idea. No, I'm sorry. When I started making music, when I started making music again in college, I had to come to grips with the fact that I had no idea who my fans were going to be. You know, I knew some of my fans were going to look like me and talk like me and like what I like, but some of my fans are the most different people to me ever. Different lifestyle, different preference, completely different than I am, right? But that's okay. Support is support. Fan is fan. Love is love. Right? So you about to if you're going to make this decision, be ready. This is a 12-round fight. It's a 12-round fight. Get your endurance together. Get your mental fortitude right. Journal, positive affirmations, whatever energy you can find and conjure up. Go find it, get it together, get ready for that spirit bomb, because you're going to need this. It's going to be a long, wild ride, but it's going to be worth it. I'm going to see you on the other side.